Hello, everyone. I'm Linda Chamberlain, and I'm a health scientist, an epidemiologist, and I specialize in the effects of stress on the brain, body, and portable, practical tools to be able to promote resilience, regulating emotions, and well-being. You may know me from my work with the state of Alaska previously and trauma-informed schools and dealing with adverse childhood experiences, ACEs. Now I work as a consultant in Alaska, all over the lower 48 and other circumpolar countries as well. And I'm just going to bring a picture here on to show you a little bit about where I live, which is outside of Homer, Alaska. This is with my dog team, and I retired from dog mushing a couple of years ago. My work has always been driven by science, and I have followed the science to the work that I'm doing today around these tools to help promote deep relaxation and well-being. And we're going to be learning about a practice called iRest. That's a little I and the word rest, which stands for, it's an abbreviation for integrative restoration, a type of guided meditation that uses deep relaxation techniques. But we're going to start first in this 12-part series with talking about the science. This first video will really focus on stress response and how we can shift into relaxation response. But before I go further with that, I just want to say that science takes a long time to catch up with people's way of knowing and cultural traditions. So as we're talking about the evidence that support these practices and then actually doing practices, just always remember thinking of things that your ancestors have shared with you. See if anything resonates in terms of what we are doing and talking about. And if it does, adapt it, use it, make it your own, share it. So let's just begin now. This first session is on stress response and resetting the nervous system as we get into the tools of iRest and ways to promote resilience, well-being, and healing. And I work with a lot of different practices, and we'll be integrating bits and pieces of that along the line in the next 11 parts after this. But we'll do a couple practices today as well. To be resilient, we need relationships. We all know that. And an interesting discovery during the pandemic is that we are looking more now at how even being connected online, it's not the same as face-to-face, but it has value in terms of supporting us and well-being and feeling connected. Cultural traditions, of course, faith, hope. There is a science of hope. Perceived control, and what helps to give us that sense of agency and perceived control is having tools, skills to be able to adapt in the moment, to facilitate self-regulation. Self-regulation is the gateway to learning, to healing, to well-being. I want to talk about the brain briefly, and you may recognize this graphic, which is part of a 7-minute video on Vimeo developed by the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium, the Healthy Healers Project. And the gist of it is that we want to be in our prefrontal cortexes. We want to be upstairs because this is the thinking, problem solving, overriding the more reactive lower downstairs survival area of the brain. It's the place where we can be all that we can be, and we think things through. We see options. We respond versus react. The dilemma with stress is that unaddressed, prolonged, and/or overwhelming, it starts to push us downstairs into the limbic system, that more reactive survival area of the brain, where the amygdala, the smoke alarm of the brain, because our brain body, which work together like a team, they're never separate and they're always talking to one another. And the amygdala is scanning, it's scanning the environment continually for potential threats and cues of safety. And we can intentionally bring cues of safety to the amygdala, help us walk back upstairs. So that's really what we'll be talking about throughout this series. But let's go now to look at our brain, body, and stress response like it's a house. It's got 5 rooms and it's got a second floor and upstairs, or we could say the attic, that is the cortex, thinking area of the brain. We look at the rooms of the house, and since we're going into stress response, the lights are out. Energy, electricity, plumbing, it's off in digestion, elimination, growth and repair, immunity, always important, incredibly important during a pandemic, and reproduction. When we think about reproductive health problems, you're always going to work with stress response and try and shift into relaxation response as a way to deal with reproductive health problems. Where are the lights on? Where's all the energy and all the plumbing going? Down into the basement bunker, because we are in survival mode. We are downstairs when stress response is on, and we don't have the tools to be able to shift and reset. We have known about stress response for 100 years. Walter Cannon, Harvard Medical School, discovered fight, flight, freeze, which is the big picture of stress response for survival in the brain body. But about a half a century later, it was Herbert Benson, Dr. Benson, who was convinced that if the body has the stress response, the brain body also has a way to shift, a survival mechanism for healing, for restoring, for well-being. And he was right. He discovered relaxation response, which would become one of the most important discoveries for well-being and understanding how to make that shift. And so let's look at 3 core conditions that need to be present to be able to evoke, to shift into relaxation response. Need to relax the muscles. When we relax the muscles, we can breathe better, welcome the breath. You know, have you ever had anybody tell you just to take a deep breath when you were feeling anxious or overwhelmed? That can be anxiety provoking in and of itself, or layer more stress on top of stress when we can't take a breath in because the body, the muscles are so tight. The body has a whole response that it goes into that tightens the muscles, that flexes us forward. So we have little ways to help open that up so we can welcome the breath. And because the breath is the first thing to be affected by anxiety, it's a core tool in shifting, but sometimes we need a little help in getting there. And when we are relaxing the muscles, welcoming the breath, the mind can calm. And there's a lot of wonderful information about relaxation response online that you can look at, including this blog through Harvard.